Welcome to the appendix, where we read the primary sources of the past so the present can be better understood. Today's primary source, Report of Government for the Western Territories, April 23, 1784. Shortly after Virginia's cession of Western lands had been formally completed, Jefferson introduced to Congress a plan for the organization of government in the Western Territory. The central plan contained two important provisions that were not finally incorporated in the Act of April 23rd. In the first place, Jefferson proposed to create 10 states out of the territory between the Ohio and the Mississippi rivers, and provided for these potential states such names as Dolypotamia, Assenisippia, Metropotamia. In the second place, Jefferson's plan contained a clause that after the year 1800 there shall be neither slavery nor involuntary servitude in any of the said states. This clause was defeated by a vote of 7-6, even Virginia voting against its retention. Jefferson's plan can be found in various editions of his works, or in Randall's Jefferson, Volume 1. The committee to whom was recommended the report of a plan for a temporary government of the Western Territory have agreed to the following resolutions. Resolved, that so much of the territory ceded or to be ceded by individual states to the United States as is already purchased or shall be purchased of the Indian inhabitants and offered for sale by Congress shall be divided into distinct states in the following manner, as nearly as such cessions will admit, that is to say, by parallels of latitude, so that each state shall comprehend from north to south 2 degrees of latitude, beginning to count from the completion of 45 degrees north of the equator, and by meridians of longitude, one of which shall pass through the lowest point of the rapids of Ohio, and the other through the western cape of the mouth of the great Kanawha, that the settlers on any territory so purchased and offered for sale shall either on their own petition or on the order of Congress receive authority from them with appointments of time and place for their free males of full age within the limits of their state to meet together for the purpose of establishing a temporary government, to adopt the Constitution and laws of any of the original states, so that such laws nevertheless shall be subject to alteration by their ordinary legislator, and to erect, subject to a like alteration, counties or townships for the election of members for their legislature. That when any such state shall have acquired 20,000 inhabitants, on giving due proof thereof to Congress, they shall receive from them authority with appointment of time and place to call a convention of representatives to establish a permanent constitution and government for themselves, provided that both the temporary and permanent governments be established on these principles as their first basis. First, that they shall forever remain a part of this Confederacy of the United States of America. Second, that they shall be subject to the Articles of Confederation in all those cases in which the original states shall be so subject, and to all the acts and ordinances of the United States in Congress assembled, conformable thereto. Third, that they shall in no case interfere with the primary disposal of the soil by the United States, nor with the ordinances and regulations which Congress may find necessary for securing the title to such soil to the bona fide purchasers. Fourth, that they shall be subject to pay a part of the federal debts contracted or to be contracted, to be apportioned on them by Congress, according to the same common rule and measure, by which appointments thereof shall be made on the other states. Fifth, that no tax shall be imposed on lands, the properties of the United States. Sixth, that their respective governments shall be republican. Seventh, that the lands of non-resident proprietors shall in no case be taxed higher than those of residents, before the admission thereof to a vote by its delegates in Congress. That whensoever any of the said states shall have of free inhabitants, as many as shall then be in any one of the least numerous of the 13 original states, such state shall be admitted by its delegates into the Congress of the United States on an equal footing with the said original states, provided the consent of so many states in Congress is first obtained, as many at the time be competent to such admission. And in order to adopt the said Articles of Confederation to the state of Congress, when its number shall be thus increased, it shall be proposed to the legislatures of the states originally parties thereto to require the assent of 2/3 of the United States in Congress assembled in all those cases wherein by the said articles the assent of 9 states is now required, which being agreed to by them shall be binding on the new states, until such admission by their delegates into Congress, any of the said states after the establishment of their temporary government shall have authority to keep a sitting member in Congress with the right of debating, but not of voting. That measures not inconsistent with the principles of the Confederation and necessary for the preservation of peace and good order among the settlers in any of the said new states until they shall assume a temporary government as aforesaid, may, from time to time, be taken by the United States in Congress assembled, and that the preceding articles shall be formed into a charter of compact, shall be duly executed by the President of the United States in Congress assembled, under his hand, and the seal of the United States shall be promulgated, and shall stand as fundamental constituents between the 13 original states and each of the several states now newly described, unalterable, but by the joint consent of the United States in Congress assembled, and of the particular state within which such alteration is proposed to be made. Thank you for joining us for our primary source today on the appendix. We will see you in the stacks.